Alrighty, here we are in Kremmling. I thought I'd give it a try, see if I can do a little shorter clip of Gore Pass. I can't imagine Gore Pass is going to be good today, but I've just come off of Gore Canyon, and I'd rather not go back on Gore Canyon. And I probably benefit from being a little on the late side where it's after 1 in the afternoon. 1:15 is what the bank says. 32 degrees, January 11. A little storm that was supposed to dump 0 inches has dumped about 6 or 7 inches in Craig, and you can see that it's snowing here where it wasn't supposed to snow at all, as far as I can remember. And I know that there's a lot of snow up in the mountains because I came from Craig earlier today, and like I said, I came over Gore Canyon. Came through Gore Canyon. That's probably the proper terminology to use. Okay, been doing the backseat hunt to find my little can of whipping cream. So I've noticed on this camera, this is a new setup and I'm learning it, that you can see, basically you can look down and see the reflection of the airbag, sort of a rectangular shape, rounded corners. I'm finding this little paper container of cream. So I drink cream like it's a soft drink. However, not in the quantities that people drink soft drinks in. And it's pretty good stuff. And while I can find the little tiny containers, 8-ounce containers, I really like that. I don't like to drink more than that. I will, but I'd rather not. And if you don't know where we're at, we just left Kremmling. We're on Highway 40, and we're heading up to the turnoff, which is in 2 or 3 miles from here. That will take us onto Gore Pass. And I'm not sure what that road is. I think it might be Highway 130. No, it's not 131. 133? Maybe? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, back to my cream. So I drink this like it's eggnog or like it's just a soft drink. This little 8 ounces costs me probably $3 with the tax. It has 400 calories of fat, and it has maybe 3 carbohydrates in it. Very, very low amount, so very low sugar. and it is a much more nutritious thing to drink than pretty much anything that you could get in the store. Anything. So, I mean, and I've shifted to that keto thing. If you've watched any of my videos, you would know that. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, my phone just died. My work phone. There we go. It came back on. So this guy in front of us is going over Gore. Rabbit Ears has got a passenger car traction law in effect. It's that bad on Rabbit Ears that passenger cars they're required to have snow tires, and if you have a four-wheel drive, you're required to have it in four-wheel drive, which most sane people would have their car in four-wheel drive today on Rabbit Ears. Pretty much any time on Rabbit Ears when there's snow on the road, which there is today. $134. I was off by one number. This is Colorado State Highway 134. I really like Gore Pass. I like the area. It's not a real direct pass, but still it's much better than going up through Steamboat. In every way, it's better than going through Steamboat. And Highway 40. Although it's not as good as going over Gore Canyon. I think that's actually the best way to get around. But it's a rough road. Rough and muddy right now. I would take it back though. I wouldn't mind it. It's a few more miles. Definitely the safest road. It's just really rough right now. Typically, it's a dirt road, and it has washboards that are pretty nasty. Right now, the washboards are made out of ice. You get melted a little bit, and a lot of vehicles dug down into the ice. And when a vehicle does that, digs down into the soft snow, they lose traction, and then they end up hopping around. Especially if you're trying to get uphill, they'll dig a hole to a point where they find traction for the tires. The vehicle will move ahead and will lose traction, and it'll have to dig down again until it finds traction. So it jumps and it makes these little ridiculously bad washboards. And I drove through those very slowly. This car is really sensitive to washboards. And I've talked about that. You know, you talk about these things when you are filming, road and talking, right? Well, so far I like what I'm seeing. I like that the road transitioned from wet to snow without a giant amount of slush, but we have some slush here, so we get what we get. But back to the cream. So if you're a believer in keto, which if you're not yet, you probably will be, and that's assuming that our government doesn't make it illegal to eat healthy food. They're trying to. Actually, they're trying to keep us from getting food, period. I mean, that the very roots of that movement are taking root. The roots of that movement are the seeds of that movement are taking root all around the world. In fact, it's despicable. So I guess they've had such success with their ridiculous evil plan that they figure, why? Let's just go all the way. Let's just go ahead and start killing all of our enemies, and then we won't have enemies, and nobody will bother us, and we can steal the elections just like we have without any sort of worry, and we can rule over the people. Poor guy. Oh, but that guy is really, really unhappy, because that car in front, those guys look scared, like, what the hell are we doing up here? And they've got over the bad stuff, but they probably can't go very fast in that car. If they have passenger tires on it, yeah, they're screwed. So anyway, I drink cream. I stay away from sugar. I still have a tiny amount of sugar, and I do have a small amount of carbohydrates. Probably, I estimate, typically I probably average about a little over 100 grams of carbohydrates a day. Maybe a little bit less, but I still eat flour, but I make my own stuff. I don't buy any bread from the store anymore. If I can't make it, I won't buy it and eat it. And I'm finding that I can make some pretty cool stuff. My latest cool thing is a pot pie, where the dough is made with a lot of lard and a lot of butter, and it's super good. And the filling is meat. So I've used hamburger meat. I've used hamburger meat and bacon. And I think today, hopefully I get back and safely, I'm going to try some Italian sausage and see what I can come up with as far as, I'm just sort of like getting my toes wet. I'm not much of a cook, but I'm learning, and I enjoy cooking. It's a lot of fun. And when I cook, I have as much control as I'll ever have over the ingredients that go into the things that I'm making. I'm even trying to make my own xylitol flavored chocolate, and my first experiment with that, I'm going to have to say, is a failure. I was able to make what I thought was somewhat milk chocolate using milk and cream, heating it up and putting xylitol in it, a sweetener, sugar alcohol. I cooked it. I mean, you cook it in a double boiler, is that what you call it? It's a pan with water, and then you have a pan that is in contact with that water, so you never get anything hotter than 212 degrees. So it's a really good way to cook things that are susceptible to burning, and chocolate is apparently susceptible to burning. So I use that, made my made my concoction. I don't know what I'm doing at all. And I poured it down to a pizza pan, thinking that, well, if it's really thin, it might have a chance of cooling it and solidifying, which is what I would like for it to do. I put the pizza pan out in a shed that's unheated so that it would be cold. And I checked it this morning, it's about there for 2 days. It's in a clean environment. It's like being in a freezer, basically. It has not solidified. It's gooey. So I'm going to have to take it back inside, and I think with a spatula, scrape it up into a pile, let it warm up. It will probably go back into liquid, and I'll probably store it in the refrigerator. And when I make ice cream, which I make kind of a keto version of ice cream, I suppose, I will use it at that point. So I will use it, but it's not what I wanted. I really wanted to make sort of like a Hershey's Kisses. That's kind of what I was wanting to make. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my lights on a little bit. Sure. Get into an area here. Can't really tell if I can get around this guy. Looks like I might be able to get around him. So I'm going to try. Get around him so I'm not blinding him and he's not blinding me. With snow, because it's really loose snow up here. Let's go ahead and turn my lights on. I don't know how bad it's going to get, but I'd rather have my lights on and let people see me coming, you know, especially if somebody's trying to pass or something. I mean, in these conditions, every clue that I can give someone that might be wanting to pass, you know, oncoming, I want them to be able to see me. And yeah, so that's my thinking about this. So we've got, I'm going to say about 3 inches of snow on the road, maybe. It looks like maybe 3 or 4. We're not yet to what you call the pass. So it's going to be a little bit. There's a good chance that there's going to be a little bit more snow on the road by the time we're done. But I haven't filmed Gore Pass yet. There's a lot of areas that I haven't filmed, and I'm really trying to figure out how to do this. You know, how does this work? What do I film? How much do I film? How long should I make a video? What should I include in the video? Like, for instance, filming Gore Pass, I could start at the turnoff and film Gore Pass, and as soon as I got over Gore Pass, stop the filming, and you would see Gore Pass, but in my mind, you wouldn't have an anchor, like, for instance, a nearby town where I started from. And so my goal today, filming this pass, is starting from Kremmling, Colorado, getting onto Highway 40, turning off onto Highway 134, letting you know where I'm at, so that if you want to look at this on the map, if you don't know where it's at, you can see it. And then driving this pass all the way to the next town. And the next town is Toponas, Colorado. Or let me think, is there nope, there's not a tiny little town in between here. So yeah, it's Toponas. So, but that way, I've anchored the beginning and anchored the end of this to a town that you can search. And even if you never look at the map to see where this is at, you'll know that we started in Kremmling, if you remember that town, and we ended in Toponas. And someday, you might look that up and go, oh yeah, there's Gore Pass. And then you might relate, because I talk about, the good and bad points of a pass. So far, the good point of this pass is that the wind isn't really bad yet, and the snow isn't that deep yet. So that's all good. The bad points of this pass are the snow is getting deeper. It's certainly getting deeper. The wind could kick up, and there's actually quite a bit of traffic on this pass. There's a reason for that. A lot of people don't want to even try Rabbit Ears Pass. If you don't have to go on Rabbit Ears Pass on a day like today, you're not going to. If you know the area, you're going to be happy to go on Gore Pass and, push through this snow. The downside of going through this heavy snow is that it might build up under the wheel wells, under my wheel wells. And if it does that, I will stop and I will chop it out. I have several devices that I can use to keep the wheel wells clear. Hopefully it's not packing in there. I think it might be a little bit too, well, the snow's not a dry snow, but the conditions kind of have to be right for it to pack in there. But that could be these are the conditions. If that's the case, I'll deal with it. I told a story about that yesterday when I was in Walden in North Park, where the conditions were considerably worse than this. I mean, they were bad. There were trucks off the road in several places. I believe there were 4 vehicles off the road. I tried to help one vehicle get back on the road, but this little car just doesn't have the oomph or the weight. Even though it's got good 4-wheel drive, you need to be able to transfer that 4-wheel drive down to something that will give you traction. And I wasn't really able to do that enough to get that big old Toyota 4Runner out. Yeah, I'd say we're probably at about 4 to 6 inches of snow up here. So I'm learning how to do this. And then also what I'm talking about, I understand that I say political commentary and I do talk about politics, and I am a conservative. I know I'm going to make people mad, people that are liberals or leftists, or that just don't have my opinion, don't share my viewpoint. And I can't really do much about that. But if I'm going to talk, I've said this before, there's no real way of getting around that politics has infiltrated pretty much every part of our lives. And conservatives don't like that, by the way. We have tried to keep our heads down and live and let live, but we are being force-fed this political bullshit by the people that are in power right now. I mean, they're doing whatever they want. And because of that, politics becomes a subject it's really hard to avoid. So I could avoid it, but I feel like that would be pretty disingenuous, I think is a nice way to put it. Not that you care what I think, but I watch YouTube videos, and when I listen to people with commentary, I really want to understand what those people are all about. I mean, are they really what they claim to be, or what the their channel sort of puts them out there to be, or are they just a persona making a video to make money? I mean, it's okay, whatever they are, but I'd like to know what they are. You know, like people that are genuine, I appreciate them much more if I believe someone's genuine than if I think they're fake. Let me throw some examples out here. Paul Joseph Watson. I've watched him for a long time. I think he's the real deal. Now, he does make his money, and he may make money doing other things, but he certainly is an internet personality who's made his living, you know, making videos and, you know, making commentaries, and he's really good at it. He's great at cutting through the bullshit and getting right to the heart of the matter. And I really like the guy, and I think he's genuine. I think that if you were to hang out with Paul Joseph Watson, he would be the same guy that he is in his videos, but probably not so intense. I mean, in a video, he's making it a point to, in a couple minutes, convey a lot of important information, and that's hard to do. It's a lot easier to write a big long thing than it is to write a short thing, especially if you're trying to impart meaning. You know, if you want to get somebody to pay attention to something. The videos are probably the same way. Like, I posted a video yesterday of my trip. Was it last week? No, it was a couple weeks ago, actually. From Craig to Kremmling, and I posted the second part of that video. They're so long, hour and a half video, and that was from Oak Creek to Kremmling. How many people are going to watch that all the way through? Some people will, some people might, but you know, a lot of people may not. So the point is that if you can hit your point quickly, you have a better chance of your listener understanding what you're saying. Now, this is a driving video, so part of the charm of a driving video is that it takes time. You know, that's part of the neat thing about travel. It takes time to get from point A to point B, and who knows what the conditions are going to be like on your journey, you know. Let me think of another guy I listen to. This guy annoys me quite a lot, but I still like his viewpoint, and for the most part, I like his delivery. But this guy, Steve Turley, I guess what I really don't care that much about Steve Turley is that he has a different way of formatting his videos. He'll usually start out with something explosive sounding and over the top, and then he'll say, "You're not going to want to miss this. This drive from Kremmling to, you know, whatever. You're not going to want to miss this." This guy is... Oh, okay. And now I understand what he's doing. He's doing the YouTube template, you know, and he's using these devices to bring viewers in. And then he'll say, and make sure to stay till the very end of the video because blah, blah, blah. You'll find out this thing. And so those are the two things that he does at the start of his video. Then in the middle of his video, he switches to a little commercial for himself. And he goes on about his whatever he has, you know. I mean, if you want to become a member of the Turley whatever institute or whatever, you can do this, and you can subscribe, and you can pay this money monthly, and you can always be informed or whatever. Or he'll push a product. And so I fast forward through all of that because it's kind of disingenuous. I like the way Paul Joseph Watson does it. He'll do his video, then he'll stop and he'll just say, you know, my income is I rely on you guys for my income, and you know, then he'll do a commercial. But it's sort of a different take, you know. And so where I have trust that Paul Joseph Watson is a real guy, I don't have trust that Steve Turley is a real guy. I do like his opinions and his viewpoints, but I don't like the way he portrays them. Anyway, having said that, I have got some stuff I want to sell you. Yeah, no, I don't, actually don't. But if I did, that would be a great place to put it in, right? I guess, I don't know, I'm learning. Just for the record, this channel is not even monetized. And YouTube might invite me to have it monetized. I do have another channel called Old Town that is monetized, and it's shadow banned. So, you know, great, good, that'll do me. But I've committed a horrible sin as far as the religion of the left goes. And the sin I committed is that I'm a white guy. So, you know, I apologize. I'm sorry that I'm a white guy. So sorry. However, that doesn't cut it because I haven't changed my race. I'm still a white guy. So apparently I must not really mean it when I say I'm sorry to these people that I'm a white guy. So I guess if they do monetize this channel, I'm sure that one of the big things that they will look for is whether or not I am materially pure materially pure enough to appear on this leftist platform that YouTube has basically taken over and turned from a public square into a publishing format. At the same time, they do have people with conservative views, but I think that they're pretty strict about those people. What they can say, I think they get watched pretty closely, and they could, for that matter, all be demonetized. I don't know. I do also post these videos on Rumble, and it's kind of cool. When I post them on YouTube, it posts to Rumble. It's a shame that Rumble doesn't put the video up in the same resolution that I posted as, because I suffer to make sure that you're getting as good of a quality video as I can, absolutely good as I can give you. And YouTube does a pretty good job of the few videos that I have on the channel of putting a high quality video out. I can't really complain. They've done well. And I will certainly give YouTube praise when it deserves praise, and it does deserve praise. Whereas Rumble puts my videos out, I think, at like 360 p, which is pretty awful. They might have put it out at 720. I don't know. It's not very good either. They should put it out, at the least they should put it out as an HD video, but I understand why they don't. They don't have the deep pockets that Google has, so they can't just give away, 60 gigabytes of data for a video that they may not even like. We have made it over what is usually the worst part of this pass. That is east side in that really curvy, steep area. And now we're sort of running on top, and we run on top basically a plateau for about 10 or 15 miles. And we've been running on it for about the last 5 miles now. Typically, this is a very serene, calm, happy side. But today the weather is a little bit different. You know, the wind is coming from a slightly different direction, and I've noticed that there are drifts on these roads where I didn't expect to see drifts. So we might run into some more drifting up here. But yeah, how nice. I like that the sun's kind of poking through. Puts a little color into this colorless, basically black and white world. I'm running about 40. I think the speed limit here is 40. It's a bizarre speed limit, because I'm running 40 and the speed limit is 40 year around. I'm actually running over 40 right now. And as you can tell, I'm not slipping off the road. I'm actually still in my lane. I just saw a little glimpse of the yellow line. Yeah, I can see the yellow line over there. So I've got a pretty good idea of where I need to be. The corner might be a little bit tight, but the state of Colorado apparently has some bizarre rules about speeds on their roads. And I think some of them are probably more bureaucratically assigned than assigned because of physical conditions or common sense. I think this is one of those areas. Yeah, this wind and the drifts coming over this side, that's kind of unusual. That's this Pacific front doing this a little bit. Wow, this side's been taken care of. Gotta wonder if there's the county change. I haven't really paid attention. Maybe that's Grand County and this is Routt County. And Routt County has got up here and made the roads nice. And I think the speed limit is still 40 here. I'm still doing above 40 and not having any trouble whatsoever on an icy snowpacked road. So that tells you how absurd that speed limit is. But, you know, we are mainly beholden to our government anymore. Our government has decided apparently that it does not want to be beholden to the people. And so it's turned the tables on us. And it's notable to look at what they've done with a democracy, with our representative, as a representative government. I'll call it representative government. A lot of people say democracy. A lot of people say, no, not a democracy. But we have a constitution that guarantees us a lot of rights that our government does not give us anymore. They are actively taking our rights away. And if you've been following what's been going on with Twitter and with the files, I'll call it the DOJ files or the FBI files between Twitter and the FBI, you'll know that our government, the bureaucrats in our government are actively working to censor our speech. They're working very hard to make freedom of speech obsolete. And they're doing it underneath in the guise of a democracy where we have the freedom of speech. And their excuse is, well, you just don't have hate speech. You don't have the freedom for hate speech. Well, that is completely bullshit. The whole point of the freedom of speech article in our Constitution is exactly what a bureaucrat would call hate speech, because we are trying to protect ourselves from government encroachment of our freedoms. And that's exactly what the government is doing by calling free speech hate speech. I made a point the other day of talking about the N word, the word that we shall not say. It's obviously a derogatory thing. But I think that in this context, I think it was maybe the harbinger of what's going on now. Because as far as the left is concerned, I don't think they care one little bit. If black people are called the N-word, I don't think they care one bit. These leftists are evil people. I think all they really want is power. And they want the ability to use power on their subjects in a way that gives them pleasure, the bureaucrats pleasure, and gives their subjects pain. I think that if you don't have the ability to inflict damage on the people that you've decided are your enemies, then what's power worth, right? If you're a leftist, why even bother if you can't pay people back for whatever alleged or imagined infractions that they've done to you? So I think that the left has used the N-word and the whole idea of the N-word as the way to usher in the term hate speech, and as a way to sound credible when they say there's hate speech. So but that's why I believe that the left did, and the reason that they did that is so they can take our freedoms away, so that they're in control. We just need to shut the fuck up and do whatever they tell us. Pardon my French, but that is their attitude. And they're doing this in our country where they probably still uphold the Constitution. Well, they act like they uphold the Constitution. So in a way, it's a lot like making a virtual machine in your computer. You know, making a complete copy or making a complete different little computer system inside of your Windows 10 or Windows 11 or whatever computer. And typical for the left, it's quite clever, but it's also evil, it's also bad, and at the end of the day, it's also short-sighted. Oh. The left in this country are not the only ones that want to grab power and see our democracy fail. You know, they hate capitalism because they can't compete. And who is they? Communists. So when you hear me talk, and I talk about communists, I try to cut to the chase, so to speak, and just get to the point. Why say socialists? Well, socialists are just communists. You know, communists in training, maybe. You know where the socialist's heart is. It's in communism. It's in, I don't believe in God, but I do believe that a person is God. And I do believe that a person has got the right to have life or death power over other people. And apparently, there are a lot of people that want to subject themselves to that ideology. I'm not one of them. So, anyway. So we have made it over the famous, the world-renowned Gore Pass. I believe Gore Pass at the peak, at the elevation was 90, I think it's 9542, which I think translates into like 2009 meters. I could be so wrong, don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure it's just about 9,500 feet. And like I said, maybe it's 20 something, man. So we're back down on the flat on Highway 134, getting ready to connect back up to State Highway 131, which is sort of the north-south artery in this neck of the woods. So Gore Pass wasn't really that bad. Now, keep in mind, if you have a regular passenger car and you don't have snow tires, you have no business being on Gore Pass. You will look a whole lot like those guys in that black car that we saw coming down the other side of the pass at about 15 miles an hour. But that poor guy behind them having to go 15 miles an hour, stuck behind him, probably because they're probably riding the middle of the road, scared to death, and they probably have reason to be, because if their passenger car doesn't have good snow tires, then you'll slip right off of this surface. So in a way, and I'm not bragging, keep that in mind, but I make this look easy. But that's because of preparation. This car has got the very best winter tires that I could find. I did a lot of research on winter tires, and I found these, and these are Firestone Discovery. I think that's what they are. Discovery XTs, I believe. They hold the road better than any snow tire I've ever used. I've used several different kinds, and these things are amazing. They will still break traction though, so you've got to stay under that limit. And I do test it a lot. If I'm wondering how my braking is, I will apply my brakes hard and see. I'll be careful because you can actually get in a wreck doing that. So I do kind of make it look easy. Guess I don't need to signal. There's no other way to go here. Alrighty. So now we are entering the town of Toponas. We are on 131. It's looking, like it looked earlier today. Actually, it's a little bit less watery. I think it's cooled off a little bit, which is great. Oh, I know what that noise is. Yeah. I have been hearing the noise all day. I think it's been two shovels clicking together. Another thing I do is I carry a lot of stuff. I carry two shovels. I finally broke down and purchased a tow rope and some clevises. I carry a few different jackets, a few different pairs of gloves, food and water. I don't want to get stuck out here, period. But if I end up getting stuck out here, I want to have enough tools that I will be able to free myself and get home. And if I can't do that, I want to have enough material that I can stay warm until I can, get extricated from my situation. So I do have a little candle in the glove box that I can light, and I do have matches. lighter. So, yeah. I'm gonna go from headlights to just marker lights. I think they're looking pretty good. So like I said, I make this look easy, but I'm prepared. This is an extremely good winter car. I'm impressed every day that I drive it. Like I said, I can make it slide, and it's slid on me, but it's phenomenally good. I said this earlier today in another filming session, but I have only had, in these winter conditions, 2 cars pass me. One was a little passenger car. It was probably an all-wheel drive car with good tires, and the guy was he was pushing it, but he passed me. I wasn't racing, by the way. This was on Highway 40. One morning heading to Steamboat, and I passed, I don't know, 25 or 30 vehicles in one shot that were going like 25 miles an hour. I was doing probably 55, between 50 and 55. It was a pretty nasty road. And this guy passed me. So, even though it may have been risky for him to do, he's a pretty good driver to be able to do that. And yesterday, I had a car catching up to me from Minnesota, a little black SUV. I'm not really sure what kind of a vehicle it was, but I'm sure it was four-wheel drive, and I'm sure that the tires that they had on it were good tires, because it makes a huge difference. Other than that, since winter started, in the snow, I don't recall anyone passing me. And I'm not trying to speed, I'm driving to the conditions that are safe for this vehicle. Oh yeah, I did have a state patrolman pass me on this road, but it was on wet. Hey, it was on wet, not icy pavement. And then I had another vehicle pass me. Again, that doesn't really count. It was just on wet pavement. On the snow, though, this car is amazing. So I'm going to end the video here. And thanks for watching. And yeah. And if you're out in weather like this, stay safe, drive safe. Take care.